Welcome to the Tyseley Operations Staff and Contractor Site Induction. This induction is presented by Tyseley Operations Limited, a leader in safe and sustainable energy operations. You're now entering the Birmingham Biopower Plant, a modern waste-to-energy facility designed for safety, efficiency, and innovation. At Tyseley Operations, we place the highest importance on the health, safety, and well-being of every person who visits our site. We meet our legal responsibilities under the Health and Safety at Work Act 1974, as well as the Management of Health and Safety at Work Regulations 1999. But more than that, we expect everyone on site to share that same level of commitment to safety. Our operations, maintenance, and management teams carry out regular checks, both through direct observation and monitored CCTV, to ensure that safety rules are followed at all times. Our vision is simple: make tomorrow safer than today by providing an environment free from harm for everyone. Tyseley Operations expects you to take this induction seriously. This industry expects the highest level of safety and environmental compliance to keep everyone safe whilst on site. We want you to leave site as you arrived. Nothing is so important that we can't do it safely. We aim to engage employees and improve safety performance and culture. Let's get to know the plant team you will likely engage with on a daily basis. Robbie Handyside is our plant manager. Stephen Fletcher is our operations manager. Andy West is our maintenance manager. Your shift team leaders are Ian Mond, Abdi Kadid, Simon Taylor, Richard Bayless. Sue Gurney is our health and safety advisor. And Anne-Marie Jones is the technical administrator. Let's run through some key rules that we will dive more deeply into later on. All personnel are to report to the control room for briefing. All persons to sign in and out in reception always use the designated walkways. Permits are required for general, hot work, working at height, confined space, and electrical tasks. We ask that you smoke in the designated area. The site operates a strict drugs and alcohol policy that may result in you being removed and permanently banned if found to be under the influence. Mobile plant can only be operated by trained and competent people. Isolations can only be applied by toll staff. Lifting operations can only be conducted by those trained and competent to do so. Mobile phones are allowed on site. However, there are rules that apply. Excavations can only take place under a permit to break ground. Only trained and competent people can enter confined spaces after providing proof of competency. The site minimum PPE must be worn at all times. Parking. Parking is available on site, and all car parking areas will be free from obstruction so vehicles are able to maneuver safely. All vehicles that enter site are to be parked in the designated car park at the front of the admin block without causing nuisance or obstruction to other users. Reverse parking only. It is not permitted to park vehicles anywhere else on site, and any vehicles found to be parked outside of the designated zones will be reported. Our site operates a 5 miles per hour speed limit. Please stick to it at all times. PPE is generally not required to get from the car park to the admin building. Mobile phones. Mobile phones are permitted on site, but only in designated areas, and only when it's safe to use them. Certain tasks and areas will restrict use of phones, and if found to be using them, you will be challenged. They must not be used in ATEX zones, confined spaces, or in any situation where they may create a hazard or distraction. On screen is a list of areas where mobile phones are prohibited. Drugs and alcohol. The site operates with a very strict drugs and alcohol policy. We reserve the right to conduct random testing and testing under suspicion. If a drugs test comes back positive, you will be removed from site immediately and could result in a permanent ban. If you provide a positive breath test for alcohol above 22 milligrams per liter, you will be removed from site and could also result in a permanent ban. If the management team suspect you to be intoxicated regardless of test results, we may ask you to leave site. If you refuse a test, this will be treated as a positive result in all instances. Mobile plant. Only trained and competent personnel to operate mobile plant with authorization of management. Daily checks are to be completed and recorded. All defects are to be listed and reported. Working at height. When working at height, a permit must be obtained from an authorized person. A risk assessment and method statement must also be provided. Never cross or climb above barriers to prevent falls. Always inspect equipment to ensure it is fit for purpose. Isolation. Isolation is a managed process, not just a valve shut. HSG 253 says failures during isolation and reinstatement are a main cause of loss of containment incidents and can lead to major accidents. Think in terms of boundary, proof, control, and reinstatement. Only competent and authorized Tyseley operations personnel can carry out any mechanical or electrical isolations. Lifting activities. Lift plans are required for all cranes, excavators, telehandlers, and are to be in place for all complex lifting operations. A permit to work is required. Taglines are to be used. Only certified equipment is to be used. Only trained personnel are to operate and signal. Excavations. Excavations must be agreed and approved by management prior to the commencement of work. A permit to break ground must be issued before work. Confined spaces. Confined spaces must only be entered by a trained and competent person who has provided us with proof. A confined space permit and supporting documentation, including gas checks register, must be obtained prior to entry. PPE. PPE must be worn at all times in plant areas with no exceptions. The minimum requirements are approved high-vis clothing, fire retardant overalls, cut level 5 gloves, hard hat, safety glasses, hearing protection in certain areas, personal CO monitor inside plant, approved safety footwear. High visibility clothing is to be worn at all times in the yard, with the exception of from your vehicle to the admin building. This includes access to the site from pedestrian gate and to and from the smoking area. Items not permitted are rigger boots, bump hats, shorts, skirts, or hooded tops. Explosive atmospheres. Explosive atmosphere or ATEX zones are clearly made by signage in plant areas and are as follows. Top of gasifiers, adjacent to startup burners/syngas sampling. Fuel screening area. Fuel conveyors. Carbon bulk bag. Ash conveyors. Ash hoppers. Top of baghouse. A planned drawing can be provided at your request. High-pressure steam systems. Steam systems at the Tyseley Biopower Plant operates at pressures over 40 bar and at temperatures around 395 degrees Celsius. All of our staff are qualified and competent to operate these systems, and you must report any leaks, noise, or anything that seems to be abnormal immediately to the STL or SPO. If you hear a steam leak, vacate the area immediately. Superheated steam cannot be seen and is highly dangerous. When evacuating the area, if possible, hold something out in front of you as a safe measure. If the item is disturbed, stop and go another way. Do not underestimate the risks associated with the steam systems and exercise caution at all times. Hazard reporting. Reporting issues by point of work risk assessments and via my compliance allows Tyseley operations employees and contractors to complete and submit various reports relating to health, safety, and environmental issues, which is then logged on our system. Submitting information this way allows it to be collated, reported, and acted on in a more efficient way than a traditional paper system. A point of work risk assessment is a form that must be completed at the start of each new task or work location. Each card is valid for one task only. You should check the completed card each time you return to a work location following any breaks, e.g. following lunch break. You will see QR codes placed around the facility for the My Compliance portal. Fuel separation rooms. The fuel separation system has a disc screen, ferrous magnet, and an eddy current separator. Due to the strong magnetic fields in this room, anyone who has a pacemaker or a similar type of device should not enter this area. All other electrical devices may be damaged by the magnetic field. You must wear an air-fed mask or suitable FFP3 mask when entering these rooms. In the event of a fire, raise the alarm. If you have been instructed in the use of fighting equipment, try to extinguish small fires only without creating risk to yourself. Otherwise, treat extinguishers only as an aid to escape. Contact the control room, informing the Tyseley staff of the location and scale of the fire. Go immediately to the fire assembly point by the main entrance gate to the facility. Using the nearest safe means, lifts are not to be used. The roll call to be carried by a fire warden and further instructions given. Make yourself aware of safe escape routes away from the area in which you are working. Supervisors are demonstrate to their staff safe escape routes from their work areas. If a fire extinguisher is discharged for any reason, tell your supervisor or one of the Tyseley staff, who should take measures to ensure that it is replaced immediately in the event of a gas alarm. CO and CH4 detectors are located at top level of gasifiers 1 to 4. If these activate a call, will go out on the radio to vacate the area immediately. On enunciation of the alarm on your personal gas monitor, please leave the area immediately. Inform control room, and if required, go to the muster point by the main entrance gate to the facility. Tyseley staff will fully investigate the cause of any gas release and will allow re-entry to the main building once it is gas tested and confirmed safe to do so. On the screen is some key locations for the site. First aid. If you or a member of your working party require first aid, contact the STL or the control room immediately. They will contact the emergency services if required. Trained first aiders are available on site 24 hours a day. First aid kit is located on level 2 of the office block, just outside the control room. The defib unit is located on level 2 of the office block, just outside the control room. All incidents of first aid must be reported and logged. Manual handling. Follow manual handling protocols at all times. Use mechanical aids wherever possible. If you need help with a task, always ask. Manual handling is one of the leading causes of injuries in the workplace. COSH. COSH is a control of substances hazardous to health. Substances you may come into contact with on site may include chemicals, products containing chemicals, fumes, dusts, vapors, mists, gases. Hazardous chemicals will be labeled with one or more of the hazard symbols above. Always check the label when using chemicals to see what harm it may cause and consult the Safety Data Sheet SDS, which are key documents in the safe supply, handling, storage, and use of chemicals. Substances should be stored in suitable containers and locked. Secondary containment must be 110% of maximum size container. Vehicle movements. There will be approximately 10 to 20 vehicle movements on a daily basis, supplying our site with waste would used as fuel for our process. Please take extra care and caution when entering areas that have vehicle movements. And remember, pedestrians always have the right of way. Deliveries. All regular drivers must be inducted. Delivery drivers must proceed to the entrance observing the speed signs and taking due care at all times, keeping to the left of the road, and safely stop at the car park area. Use the intercom left of the admin office block entrance to contact the control room. Once the control room have authorized access, the door will open and the driver may proceed to reception following the signs. A member of staff will meet the delivery driver and take and sign for the delivery. All delivery drivers must follow site rules, signage, and wear the correct type of PPE at all times, as well as any instructions given by site operatives. Irregular/emergency delivery drivers, delivery of parts for unexpected breakdowns, generally do not require site induction. Loading shovel. All loading shovel operatives shall read and understand the manufacturer's operating manual and familiarize themselves with the equipment. All loading shovel operatives are to know the SWL of the machine. Only use the duty chart specific to the loading shovel being used. All loading shovel operatives shall know the maximum gradient which it is safe to operate on. A site-specific risk assessment governing the use of loading shovels must be in place, and the loading shovel must be appropriate for the task in hand. All operatives are to take care of their surroundings whilst operating. All operatives shall maintain the vehicle to a good standard. No mobile phones are permitted to be used in the loading shovel. Pedestrians. Persons on foot are the most vulnerable. Drivers and operators must be mindful of their presence and operate their vehicles with caution and consideration to pedestrians at all times. Hazard signs are fitted across the site to advise when pedestrians may be present, and pedestrians must follow designated walkways at all times and wear approved high-visibility PPE as per site policy. Work activities and safety documents. RAMs. Contractors undertaking work on our site are responsible for assessing, evaluating, and estimating foreseeable significant hazards that will be present during the scope of the work and for implementing control measures to reduce the risk to an acceptable level. The performing authority responsible for the working party must carry out a risk assessment and put in place a method statement, RAMS, before a permit to work will be issued. NO documentation, NO work. Once control measures are implemented, they must be maintained and monitored throughout the course of the work. Tyseley operations staff will conduct random safety audits, so ensure your working party is fully aware of their responsibilities whilst on site and all documents and permits are in place. All contractors will require a permit to work. If in doubt, ask. Permit to work. When safety from the system is required, then a permit to work must be requested. In all circumstances, we expect that a permit to work is requested in advance. The permit to work will be prepared by the authorized person, AP, and safety from the system will be achieved through isolations and locking out the system-derived hazards. When you arrive on site, report to the permit office control room. Here you will be met by the STL. The person carrying out the work task will be the performing authority, PA. The person writing the permit to work will be the issuing authority, IA. Hot work. Hot work is any process or maintenance activity that can become a source of ignition, i.e. welding, grinding, cutting. All types of hot work on site are to be avoided where reasonably practicable at all times. The risk of hot work is never to be underestimated, as the consequences of fire are catastrophic. All hot work on site requires a hot work permit. Always ensure firefighting equipment is checked in date and the correct type for the task. Determine if other hazards are present within the work area and remove if possible. Confined space. A confined space is any place, including any chamber, tank vat, silo, pit, trench, pipe, sewer, flue, well, or other similar place which, by virtue of its enclosed nature, though not always entirely, there arises a reasonably foreseeable specified risk, i.e. asphyxiation due to a lack of oxygen. No person shall work in a confined space unless appropriate training to the confined space and their activity has been given and the appropriate safety document has been issued. For all Tyseley employees, this training must be recorded and copies of certificates held by administration. For contractors, this training must be recorded on any permits with a copy of their certificates attached. On screen is a non-exhaustive list of our confined spaces. Clearing safety documents. On completion of work, the performing authority shall ensure that all persons in the working party have been withdrawn from the work area and warned not to continue working or to attempt to start other work. All safety guards and access doors must be replaced. The work area is left clean and tidy and free from obstruction. The PA may then proceed to the permit office to have the permit to work canceled. All safety locks must be removed before you leave site, or you will have to return to site. Any exceptions or safety concerns must be clearly communicated. Behavior and discipline. If any person acts irresponsibly, their behavior will be noted and reported to their employer on all circumstances. Tyseley will not accept any forms of violence, aggression, abusive or offensive language, or hand gesturing. Tyseley reserves the right to exclude offenders from the site. Mobile phones/tablets can be used in designated areas if required to carry out the work activities. Personal audio devices are not to be used on site. Radio communications usage. Agreed appropriate channels to be used while performing the work activities on site. Drivers are not permitted to use mobile phones whilst in control of any vehicle or machinery on site. Environmental awareness. Tyseley Operations operates under the permit title displayed on the screen. All employees, contractors, and visitors to site must be fully compliant with environmental legislation. If environmental damage is caused or has the potential to be caused, stop the activity in question immediately and seek advice. Follow the relevant emergency plan if an environmental incident occurs. If the incident is outside of Tyseley Operations control, then an external contractor or authority will need to be contacted. You must report all environmental incidents to the STL. Thank you for your time and attention. Please work safely. Don't take risks and ask the Tyseley Operations site team if you're unsure about anything. Report any hazards, incidents, or near misses. Work safely. Don't take risks. And ask if unsure.